Have you ever walked into a room and felt like something unseen walked out? Have you ever had a dream so real that when you woke up, a piece of you felt like it stayed behind? Across every ancient culture, every forgotten religion, and every modern scientific theory, there is one idea that refuses to die. There is another world beside ours, a darker reflection, a shadow version of reality that touches ours more often than we think. Scientists call it a parallel universe. Mystics call it the shadow realm. Ancient civilizations called it the land beneath the world. And recently, pop culture gave it a name you already know, the Upside Down. But here's the thing. That concept didn't start on Netflix. It began thousands of years earlier. Tonight, we're diving into the disturbing truth. The Upside Down may not be fiction. And the clues are scattered across myth, history, physics, and real-world encounters. To find the truth, we start with the oldest written civilization, Sumer. In Sumerian belief, there existed a realm called Kur, also known as the Land of Shadows, a place beneath the world where time moved differently, monsters roamed freely, and the dead walked as hollow versions of themselves. Sound familiar? Move to Greece and you'll find Tartarus, not hell, but a parallel prison dimension beneath reality itself, a place of mist, storms, and ancient creatures. Cross the ocean to the Maya civilization, and they describe Xibalba, a mirror world filled with darkness, ruled by entities with grotesque forms, who could cross into our world through caves. Then, in ancient Japan, the Yomi, a cold, stale, rotting version of the living world, where the air causes sickness just by breathing. Different cultures, different time periods, same concept. A world that mirrors ours, but stripped of life, and ruled by things that don't belong here. The Upside Down, thousands of years before the Upside Down. Now let's step into modern science, because the strange part is, scientists are starting to agree with the ancient world. Quantum physics and shadow universes. The many worlds interpretation suggests that every decision creates a branching universe, millions, billions of versions of reality. But here's the alarming part. Some physicists now believe that these worlds interact, that they collide, overlap, or touch in ways we can't fully detect. This leads to the terrifying theory of leakage between worlds. Tiny moments where one universe bleeds into another. Reports of people hearing voices in empty rooms, shadow figures watching from doorways, objects disappearing and reappearing, sudden drops in temperature with no explanation. All could be signs of dimensional friction. Then comes the biggest theory of all, the mirror universe hypothesis. Certain scientists propose there is a mirror version of our universe, made of dark matter, a universe we cannot see, but shares the same structure as ours. It would be lifeless, cold, silent, but still structured like a twisted reflection, a literal upside down. Every ancient culture believed the barrier between worlds is not solid. There are thin places, locations where reality weakens, and the shadow realm seeps through. Some of the most famous include 1. Forests where sound dies. In Romania's Hoya Forest and Japan's Aokigahara, people report the same phenomenon. Sound disappears. No birds, no wind, no insects, just silence. Scientists can't explain it. Ancient people believed, when the forest goes silent, the shadow world is near. 2. Cave systems and old mines. The Maya believed caves were literal entrances to Xibalba. Modern explorers have reported hearing cries, footsteps, and breathing deep underground where no person could be. 3. Fog zones. Witnesses across Europe and North America report walls of fog that appear suddenly and cause disorientation, time distortion, visual hallucinations, missing time events. What if the fog isn't natural, but a veil? 4. Sleep paralysis and shadow visitors. For centuries, cultures claimed shadow beings visit during sleep paralysis. Science says it's neurological. But here's the problem. People across the world describe the exact same creature. A tall, thin humanoid shape, standing in the corner of the room, always watching, never moving, and in some cases, following people after they wake up. If these stories are true, the barrier between worlds isn't closed. It breathes. Let's examine the encounters that match this phenomenon. Case 1. The man who vanished for 6 minutes. In 1998, a hiker disappeared in Oregon. Search teams found him 6 minutes later, only 120 meters from the trail. He claimed he had been gone for hours, in a silent world covered in black vines that stretched across trees like veins. He said the air tasted like metal. None of this place exists in Oregon. Case 2, the basement steps incident. In 2007, a mother in Ohio heard her son crying from the basement. But her son was upstairs, asleep. She recorded the sound. A perfect replication of her child, calling her name. From beneath the floorboards. Ancient folklore describes shadow realm entities as perfect mimics. Case 3, the shadow walkers of Alaska. For decades, Alaskan villagers have reported black, tall, faceless beings standing in the distance, just beyond the tree line. They never approach. They just watch. Locals call them the between people, as if they exist between worlds. Case 4, the crawlers. Thousands of sightings across the U.S. describe pale skin, long limbs, no eyes, fast, unnatural movement, identical to creatures from Navajo legends, European cave myths, and modern paranormal footage. Either this creature independently evolved worldwide, or it's crossing over. Let's imagine this world scientifically. If a parallel realm exists, it wouldn't be identical to ours. It would be shaped by lower temperatures, different air composition, lack of sunlight, fungal or parasitic ecosystems, minimal animal life, meaning it might look like heavy checkmark blackened dead plant life, heavy checkmark fungal growth instead of greenery, heavy checkmark spores instead of pollen, heavy checkmark webbing structures forming networks, heavy checkmark creatures adapted to darkness, heavy checkmark no sound due to still air, heavy checkmark echoes that don't match your voice, heavy checkmark time that doesn't flow evenly. We wouldn't see a copy of our world. We'd see a corrupted template. A world where life evolved in ways we cannot comprehend. A place that feels familiar, but terribly wrong. Like a dream that remembers you, even after you wake up. Every myth agrees on one thing. The shadow realm is not neutral. It is hungry. The question is, what? One theory is energy. If our world is alive, and the parallel world is dead, then the dead realm would feed on the living one. Like a parasite. That could explain dreams that drain you, sudden depression or anxiety in certain places, feeling watched, unnatural silence, sleep paralysis entities, mimicry voices, missing time. It feeds off fear, attention, or life force. The ancients believed that every time someone entered the shadow realm, even for a second, something might come back with them. So here's the truth. Before Stranger Things, before modern science, before quantum physics, humanity always suspected there was something on the other side of the veil. A second world. A corrupted mirror. A living shadow. The upside down. Maybe it's not fiction. Maybe it's not fantasy. Maybe every ancient culture was trying to warn us. And maybe, when your room goes silent, when your reflection moves wrong, when you wake up at 3 a.m. sensing a presence, when your dream feels like a memory, maybe that's when the barrier thins. And for a moment, you're not fully in this world anymore. If the upside down, or its real-world equivalent, truly exists, then the biggest mystery is this. When did humans first encounter it? The earliest signs appear not in myths, but in cave art. Deep inside Paleolithic caves in France, Spain, and Indonesia, humans painted impossible elongated creatures, star-shaped gateways, figures with stretched limbs, tunnels made of swirling darkness. Archaeologists usually call these shapes symbolic. But some of the caves go so deep underground that early humans would have needed thousands of torches just to reach them. Why go that far? To paint something they feared? And why do these shapes look almost identical to modern paranormal sketches? One particular cave in Spain, known today as El Castillo, shows a painting of a humanoid with a hollow mouth, no eyes, long spider-like digits. Next to it is a swirling spiral, almost like a vortex or dimensional tear. What makes it strange is this. Ancient cultures never interacted, yet the same creature appears in Native American tribes, Nordic carvings, African folklore, and medieval manuscripts. Either humans invented the same being, with no contact, or they all saw the same thing. A creature that doesn't belong here. A creature that came from a place that mirrors ours, but isn't ours. A place like the upside down. Let's shift to something more recent. Something documented. Something that terrifies even skeptics. Mass missing time events. These cases happen around the world. Groups of people suddenly lose 10, 20, even 60 minutes, with no memory of what happened. The strangest case happened in 1977, in a small town in Wales. At exactly 4:12 p.m., an entire street reported a metallic smell, sudden darkness, complete silence. Every bird stopped singing. Every dog stopped barking. Some people reported seeing a gray mist rolling across the ground. Then, everyone woke up on the ground. 12 minutes later, except the clocks, had only moved forward 4. What happened to the other 8 minutes? Locals reported nightmares afterward, where they were walking in a dead version of the town. Same houses, same roads, but no people, no lights, no color. Just a quiet, lifeless replica, exactly like a real upside down. Scientists dismissed it as mass hysteria. But mass hysteria doesn't make streetlights flicker out at the exact same second. Mass hysteria doesn't cause battery-operated clocks to jump forward. And mass hysteria doesn't replicate itself in over 200 cases globally with the same symptoms, unless people are slipping through cracks into a parallel plane for tiny fractions of time. And most never realize it. If a parallel world exists, and if something lives there, what would it be? Not demons, not ghosts, not aliens. Something older. Something evolved for darkness, silence, and still air. Scientists argue that a dark matter world could support dark matter life, meaning beings that pass through walls, bend physics, appear as shadows, interact only through gravity or electromagnetic distortion. That matches almost every real-world encounter with shadow entities. Let's break down the 3 most reported ones. 1. The lurkers. Tall humanoid figures that appear to observe, never approaching, never blinking, never moving. Often seen at the edge of forests, in hallways, at the foot of beds. Witnesses report feeling watched, drained, or paralyzed. Could they be scouts, studying us, or simply curious? 2. The mimics. Entities that imitate a person's voice, a crying child, a calling parent, or footsteps. Ancient myths warn, the voice that calls your name from the wrong direction is never a friend. Modern victims say the same thing. They sound perfect, but something feels wrong. In a silent world like the Upside Down, communication would evolve differently, through mimicry. 3. The crawlers. The most disturbing of all. Pale, thin, twisted creatures. Spotted worldwide. Appalachia, Alaska, Canada, Norway, Siberia. Their movement is unnatural, almost glitching, as if their bodies weren't meant for our physics. Some believe they are native to the shadow realm and can wander through dimensional cracks. Others believe they follow people who accidentally cross over, marking them somehow. Whatever they are, they match beings from thousands of years of mythology, and they are appearing more often than ever. This is where things get uncomfortable. Multiple declassified documents from the 1950s to the early 2000s mention experiments attempting to detect alternate planes of existence. One FOIA document references dimensional interference patterns resembling a secondary plane. Another mentions echo signatures inconsistent with single reality space. And strangest of all, a 1991 military report mentions an event labeled simply the Other Place incident. Large portions are blacked out, but a few lines remain readable. The environment appeared to mimic the test site, with structural distortion. Non-biological growth noted on all surfaces. Audio signatures, clicking, whispering, atmospheric hum. Operator retrieved in disoriented state, reporting absence of color and presence of entities. It sounds almost exactly like descriptions of the Upside Down. And this wasn't a TV show. This was a classified military program, which raises the question, how long has the government known? And what did they encounter? If these 2 worlds touch, even slightly, could one ever break into the other? Physics suggests yes. A large enough energy event could rip open a temporary rift between parallel dimensions. Ancient cultures warned about eclipses, massive storms, earthquakes, ritual sites, bloodshed on sacred land, as moments where the veil thins. Modern science warns about particle collisions, magnetic anomalies, gravitational ripples, geomagnetic storms. Different explanations, same outcome. The barrier is fragile, and sometimes it tears. If the Upside Down is real, and if it has life, intelligent life, then the biggest question is, would it stay in its world, or would it come here? Every myth gives the same answer. We'll come through. When the door is unlocked, And humans are very good at unlocking doors. We don't understand. So what exactly is the upside down? A dark matter mirror world? A shadow realm described by ancient civilizations? A dead version of our reality? A parasitic plane feeding off ours? Maybe it's all of them. Maybe none. But here's what we do know. People are seeing things. Science is starting to agree. Myths from every continent warn the same. And the barrier grows thinner. Every single year. So tonight when you go to sleep, and the room falls silent, and the air feels still, and you sense something standing just outside your vision, remember, sometimes the shadow you see isn't your imagination. Sometimes it's the other world, looking back, and sometimes it's closer than you think.